What's up, y'all? It's your girl Cornelia back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. I done went down there to see Beyonce down to the Vegas, y'all. I saw her again. I done went down there and over down to the Vegas and saw Beyonce. I went for a second time. Auntie tired. And I'm talking about me. Auntie is tired. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I am so tired, child. She wore me out. Beyonce Giselle done wore me out. I had me a good old time in Las Vegas to see Beyonce. Night one. I didn't see night two because if you saw the clips, y'all know everybody came night two. She knows she could have gave us Jay-Z. He was already in town. He didn't even have to do extra travel. He was already in here in the facility. He was already in the building. And she knows she could have gave us Sean Carter, okay? Sean Corey could have came out the back and she could have hit us with that. The Young Hove, y'all know when the flow is logo. Young B and ROCOO. He know he could have came out there and did Crazy in Love, but he did not. I still love the show. It was a fantastic time. As I've discussed here, and let me reiterate, I'm never buying tickets during the pre-sale again. And I also have scathing reviews for both Ticketmaster and StubHub. Because the outside of me experiencing Beyonce and having a fantastic time at the concerts, my experience with Ticketmaster and StubHub as a staff, record label, and a crew has been below standard, absolutely subpar, and I have nothing but scathing words to say. And the reason why I ended up going to Vegas was because I had such difficulty selling my Beyonce tickets. I had Club Hold Down in the Honey Bucket pits. The pits were VIP tickets apparently, and you could not resell those on Ticketmaster. You couldn't even transfer the ticket. You know, when you buy tickets for your homegirls or your homeboys, and you just go on Ticketmaster, boop, hit the transfer button, you can send them their tickets so they can walk in by themselves. No. With these tickets, you had to check in and everybody had to be at the check-in desk with you. So it wasn't no, hey, I'll meet y'all in there. No, everybody has to be there at the same time in order to get the tickets. You cannot transfer names, like put one person name on another person name and they get their ticket. No, if you put somebody else's name on the ticket, what I found out the day of, thank God, I was being instructed by both StubHub and Ticketmaster to just add an additional person's name because I ended up trying to sell the second ticket through StubHub. That morning, I called after being on the phone with StubHub for 2 days straight to make sure everything was going okay. They didn't even want to give me the phone number so we can make sure we meet up at the desk at the table at the same time. A hot mess. Ended up getting it. But shout out to the ticket buyers from Thailand. There's a doctor from Thailand who flew in just for the Beyonce shows. But I found out that morning after I was instructed by both Ticketmaster and StubHub to just add the additional the ticket pickup person's name and they'll be able to get their ticket. Nope. Come to find out, that means that your name is completely removed from the order and that they will be the person who can pick up all of the tickets. No additional people. Thank God I caught that and got it changed. Ended up working out. I got the person's number. We met up, got the tickets, but that was the most stressful ordeal. 2 thumbs down to Ticketmaster, they VIP Nation, the people who run the VIP and StubHub. Y'all can all, you know what, you know who. But thank God I went because I also found out that some of my line sisters was going to be in Vegas for that same weekend. It was so random, y'all. And ended up having the best time. I needed that weekend and that quick meetup with them. I am so happy I went. Oh my goodness. It worked out. It worked out. Beyonce put on a great show. There was a lot of walking. I got all my steps in. Y'all 6 miles a day in Vegas. You know, you go to Vegas. If y'all haven't been to Las Vegas, or if you have, you know this or you don't, you gonna get all of your steps in. Back was toe up. Even wrapped up the night by all five of us stuffing in a Toyota Corolla taxi cab on the way back to the hotel, just like the old days. Y'all, it felt just like old times when we used to pile up in the car. Mm. But she put on a fantastic show. This was a hell of a run. The Cowboy Carter tour had, I believe, 32 dates, significantly less than previous years, a lot less cities, made a lot of money, highest grossing country tour of all time. I know they mad. And this show was I feel like each Beyonce show has a theme, but right now where we are in this moment in time and history and what's going on in this country and everything that we're experiencing, especially as Black people, this tour was blacker than a mug. The imagery was Blackness. It paid homage to black icons. She had Black visuals, even down to archive footage of like the Little Rock Nine and civil rights kids within the civil rights movement. I've been on social media seeing people posting saying, "Oh my God, those are my parents. Those are my grandparents." I had no clue. One woman who sings a song called Walk Tall, I believe that's the song name. She found out on social media, her daughter was, watching the tour on social media and heard her mother's song in the background. Child, Miss Tina and Beyonce flew her out to the show so she can hear her song that she recorded, I think the 1950s ish. So she can hear it in person on the big screen. Y'all talk about incredible moments. This tour was Black AF. The messaging, the reclamation of the American flag. Not to say this gonna stick, because y'all already know, but I get what Beyonce was doing. She was basically telling us these things are ours. This imagery, this music, we started it. We are it. Do not be afraid to reclaim stuff. And as someone at her level, putting herself out there and like leading that charge at this moment in time is very commendable, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. A lot of people, when they get to her point in their career, they just sit back and chill. That's why conversations about icons and legacy is important. And it's especially important when you think about and talk about who gets to be considered that. That's why when Beyonce is in the conversation with Michael and Prince and all of them, when you not just talking about the music, but talking about what they tried to do. Prince was known for reclaiming his content, his music. He changed his name to The Sign because the name Prince was making record labels money that was not going to him. They were profiting off of his imagery and his brand. He changed his name. He didn't even want to put his music on streaming. Remember when before Michael passed a couple years before, when Jay-Z first started Title, all of Prince music, he was only on Title. He specifically went there and only wanted it on Title, which was crazy because when he died, that's when it went everywhere. And people were saying Prince would have been pissed off. Hell yeah, because he wanted it in one place. He picked that platform. Michael's messaging in his music. Think about that. They don't really know about us video. They have Michael went to the favelas. Okay. Michael, even when he was buying people's masters, Michael was doing something. He was taking control of music and artistry, and he was buying up all of this content in a time where that necessarily wasn't what Black artists were doing. Stevie Wonder has always been very vocal about human rights, rights of Black people. He has been always very conscious of that messaging. Even Marvin Gaye, think about what's going on. Even though Marvin was very troubled, okay? Some of the messaging was right on brand. That's why I ain't gonna take no Beyonce disrespect. People be, they be like, oh, she ain't overrated. And I don't want to hear none of that. Because at this point in her career, y'all, she could be chilling. And she's not. She's not. So if you got to experience this tour, I'm sure you had the same experience. If you're waiting for the next one, I'm going to be right on up in there. I'm already got to say, put some money aside for it. People after this tour now, everybody's like, we gotta go to Paris, we gotta go to Atlanta, we gotta go to the last night, because all of those stops that I mentioned, she had guests come out. Chat the last night in Vegas. I went on Friday. On Saturday, she had Destiny's Child, Shabuzi, Jay-Z, all were there. I'm just going where the vibe's gonna be. We already discussed and we talking about, yeah, let's go overseas so we can make it a whole trip. Y'all go to the concert and then bop around to some other countries and have us a jolly old time. But I'm glad I went. It was money well spent. And yeah, Beyonce is the greatest artist that we have in this generation. She's our generational talent. I'm standing firm on that. Yeah, no, I also can make an argument about other things. I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna go there about who the best overall. I ain't gonna go there. I'm just saying I had a fantastic time on this tour, and shout out to her because I know she's tired, baby. Okay, I know she worn out. She 40 plus. But let me know y'all's experience. Did you have a chance to go to the tour? Did you see her? And if you did not, are you planning to go for Act 3? We don't know what it is. People predicting rock. I'm just here for the vibes. I'm here for a good time. Whatever she gives us, I'm going to take it. Okay, let me know. But overall, what are your thoughts about it? You can find me at Canelia on social media. I want to take a minute to shine some light and love towards the family and friends of Malcolm Jamal Warner, who passed away this past weekend in Costa Rica due to an accidental drowning. Y'all, talk about devastating. Talk about unexpected. Death is unexpected. Death is, y'all, people be dying. People really don't be making it. And you know the scary thing about it, no matter how at peace you feel like you are, or how much you understand life and death, it's still a shocker, and it's nothing that you can prepare for, even when you know people are going to pass on. When I say that, I feel like everybody was completely shocked and devastated by Malcolm Jamal Warner's passing. Now, I just can't believe it. And you know, it's a testament to the power of entertainment. This is one thing that's really powerful about the business. There's so many things you can say, negative things you can say about the entertainment industry. Trust me, I've heard it all and I've witnessed some of it firsthand. But I've seen some of the extreme positives. And one of the positives is how an individual can enter your lives and your home and your heart through performance, whether that's TV, movie, music, you name it, and make an impact on you that lasts a lifetime. Theo Huxtable was like our brother, our cousin, our friend, our homeboy, mentor. And that character, him playing that character, had a significant impact on, I know it crossed color lines, but specifically Black people, specifically Gen X and elder millennials. That whole Cosby Kid crew. But in this case, because Malcolm Jamal Warner, you know, if you think about the Cosby Show and whatever we say about Bill, this is another thing that that's so tragic about this. Bill Cosby did what Bill Cosby did, and we don't condone none of that. But the fact that such a strong and powerful and well put together television show took a whole hit, it's just devastating. That's why when you do stuff, your actions have consequences for everybody. And the best of the part is most of those episodes didn't even revolve around him. They revolved around every other character. There were episodes specifically written and designed for the storylines of all of the children and Claire, the wife, Felicia Rashad. But regards to the kids, I feel like Denise, Theo, and Rudy specifically had as much of a significant impact, and Vanessa, because Sandra was grown, but when the show first started, she was already like off to college and doing her own thing. But with those that pocket of kids, they all were going through their daily challenges that was relatable to everybody. And Theo, being the only boy in the family, did become our big brother or our sibling or cousin and friend. So to watch somebody grow up and you grow up together, and then to watch them continue on in their career. He had Malcolm and Eddie with Eddie Griffin. He had the show, what was it, Read Between the Lines on BT with Tracy Ellis Ross. He turned and evolved into a wonderful musician and a poet, won a Grammy, has a podcast, has been an advocate for Black people, and just been a staple, right? It's just tragic and it's just really devastating. It's really, really devastating. So many good moments with Malcolm Jamal Warner. It also highlights how dangerous some things are. He was just swimming in the ocean with his daughter, and believe it was like a rip current. There's conflicting reports, but like a rip current was too powerful, and he got swooped up. They were people, lifeguards or swimmers, or surfers were trying to resuscitate him. I believe they said they were trying CPR on him for almost an hour, and it just didn't work. Which now it just reiterates how dangerous the ocean is. You could be, child, it could be Michael Phelps. You can't survive no rip current, no, none of that. If you know, the ocean is dangerous. And this just reiterates, y'all ain't going out there. Nope, don't want to. It's just sad, man. It's just really sad and really tragic. So many people are impacted. That's another thing about being in LA. You're like 1 degree away from a lot of people. Even if you don't know them personally, I do have a group of associates, colleagues that were very connected to Malcolm Jamal Warner who are just going through it right now. You know, it's just sad. It's just really sad. So, again, sending love to his family, his friends, people who cared about him, worked with him, colleagues. I've been watching all the clips online, and they be showing the Cosby Show on TV1. TV1 ain't let up. They the only ones. I'm willing to bet after this that other networks, because for a while, some networks be fearful about picking the show up, rightfully so, because of the creator and the star, one of the stars of the show, and everything that came out about him. But I feel like after this, other networks are going to put it back into syndication, even if it's just for a little while. And which is good, because I would hate for that body of work, especially as it relates to Malcolm Jamal Warner, to not be consumed at a time like this. Even though that's not all he was. The Cosby Show wasn't all he was, but that's where he entered our lives. That's where he became a part of our family. So prayers up to him and to everybody who was devastated by that loss. Yeah, and it's just tragic, y'all. Life is short. Live your life. Live your life. Let me know your thoughts about it, though. And also let me know your favorite Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable moment. One of my favorites is, of course, it's the classics like Gordon Gartrell, right? That was all, it's tucked into my socks. That was funny. The one where they, as a family, was singing Ray Charles, Night and Day. One of my favorites, though, is the Dance Mania episode. Y'all remember Dance Mania? When Theo and Cockroach were trying to get tickets to Dance Mania, and Claire had a coworker or somebody at the job, at the law firm, knew somebody and got her tickets, and she was like, oh, well, I guess you don't want these tickets to Dance Mania. And they were like surprised and happy they got tickets to Dance Mania. And then when they got down to the studio, they were going back and forth because only one person was going to get in between the two. And they were going back and forth. And Theo thought if he said one more time, like, no, Cockroach, you go in. Cockroach will let him go in. And Cockroach ended up being like, thanks, great. And he got to dance with the sexy dance lady at Dance Mania. And Theo was mad. That's one of my favorite episodes. I love that one. But let me know what yours is. Yeah. Yeah. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. So Ralph Lauren, the brand, the high-end brand Ralph Lauren that we have all grown to love over the years, or maybe not, because I'm learning over this past week that some people don't fool with Ralph Lauren or Polo. They also, some people think they're the same thing. Hey, they're not. But over the past few years, Ralph Lauren has entered into an endeavor where they are using specific lines to pay homage to the style that was focused around Oak Bluffs, which is the black conclave of Martha's Vineyard. In case you don't know what that is, we all know that during earlier times in American history, after enslavement, there were very, 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 very few places that Black people could go to vacation or even go to the beach. Oak Bluffs, if I'm believing this, if I remember correctly, was at one point the only place in America where Black people could swim in the ocean and be on the beach. If y'all remember the movie The Inkwell back in the 90s with Lorenz Tate and Jada Pinkett Smith, that was based in the Inkwell, which was Oak Bluffs. But rich history, rich Black history in that area. Um, Lots of families who owned homes or spent time in Oak Bluffs for the summer or throughout the year still have family homes there today. It is a very sought after or highly visited vacation destination to this day. The show on Netflix Forever that Mara Brock Akil directed and produced and wrote, or was a writer on, creator. It was they spent a lot of time in Oak Bluffs, which boosted the appeal for that region even more. But Ralph Lauren, over the couple years, they have been having collections centered around their child. They be selling out. Very preppy, Martha's Vineyard aesthetic. A lot of the clothing is focused on the HBCU culture, with particularly Spelman and Morehouse. Which, before I continue on, honestly, if we gonna keep it a buck, and I'm not hating, y'all know I love me some HBCUs, okay. But if we're really talking about nautical presence and that preppy look, Hampton University takes precedent over all of these institutions, and I'm gonna stand by that. We're literally on the water. We got a sailing team. You don't get no more preppy and nautical than that. I need the Hampton line. We have sailors. We got boats on campus. There's boats. They're right there. Okay. You walk hand in hand with your little boyfriend with the boats right there. But this is a line that has been selling out. It has been highly sought after. It has been doing really well. The stocks through the roof. However, some people I've learned on social media have been going viral because people are opposed to it or they don't like it. That's just gonna be blunt. They don't like it. There has been a lot of conversations about the Black elite, and y'all know people like to find reasons and things to complain about. Let's be real. They like to find stuff to complain about. But lately there has been, and I'm only using the word attack because I can't think of another word. It's not, I won't call it a full on attack, but there has been this attack on, or this targeted push to highlight in a negative way Black organizations or Black structures that skew more towards Black elites, because some people saying it has been a detriment to the Black community. These groups have not been helpful to Black people. They are a detriment to us. They promote capitalism, all of these things. I'm talking about Jack and Jill, Divine Nine, Oak Bluffs, all of, you name it. If it has been an institution around for Black people since the turn of the century, right after Reconstruction, that required a level of access or proximity, now some people got a problem with it. I wasn't an Oak Bluffs girl. I wasn't in Jack and Jill. I learned about those things when I got to Hampton University, because in Flint, the surroundings and environment I was in, they did not have that. But we weren't poor. We were just a middle class family. But again, we weren't in that proximity. So personally, I don't have a problem with that. Y'all know I'm a believer in striving for the best. Life is about elevating, at least in my opinion. And if you work hard, you should strive for the things that you want. And if the things that you want are over there, strive for go for over there. But one user specifically went viral and they've been tearing him up and he been fighting for his life and not backing down about his comments regarding this Ralph Lauren partnership. And let me just shout out the designer. I can't find his name right now. There's a designer who is an HBC alum who went to Morehouse. He is being tapped for this latest collection. So shout out to that young man. But let me play this and we're gonna briefly discuss a little bit of this because I don't really agree.
Black elitism got to get the fuck the same way white supremacy does. I don't give a fuck how you present it to me. I don't care. James Jeter just dropped his second collection with Polo Ralph Lauren. The first one, Morehouse and Spelman, HBCUs were the craze. Totally get it. That was a layup. I understand. Now we're in the second collection is based off Oak Bluff, the only section in Martha's Vineyard where black people can gather and do their thing. Cool. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I do not want a black all-American story when it comes to Polo Ralph Lauren because that is not how we and people who look like me have engaged with Polo Ralph Lauren. It's never been about some elite bourgeoisie shit. We stole that shit. Like the things that you are creating, the things that you are trying to create, the things that like this is black excellence or black elite or whatever. We stole that shit. That is not how we engage with Polo Ralph Lauren. And for you, and while I feel like you are overly qualified to sit at the seat as creative director, you must tell these people if you are going to leverage my blackness to help your company, we have to do it how black people have done it. We have to. At some point you got to recognize the lowlifes. At some point you got to recognize these other groups of people who look like us. How we were. It was a rebel for us to wear these things. It was a rebellion to the American dream, to the all-American standard. We stole that shit. And for us who are using our dollar to buy polo, at best we're talking about a Macy's Dillard level, and for most of us, it's a Marshalls and Ross level. You have to get, if you are going to sit at the creative director seat, you got to understand like the access is at that Macy's Dillard level and down. We gonna steal that shit up there. That $600 jacket, the booster's back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this like to promote, you know what I'm saying, nefarious behavior and shenanigans. I'm saying it because that's how we engage with this shit. That is, we did not engage with this shit on some like we don't give a fuck. Like none of that shit is what we give a fuck about. And it's kind of disingenuous that you're trying to pass it on. Like that's crazy as fuck to me.
Child, who is we? Baby, who's we? Now, I grew up in Flint, Michigan. In Flint, and I'm speaking from my perspective, okay? Flint, there are different income brackets, different classes of people, different nationalities. Flint was very diverse when I was growing up. Very diverse. My high school classmates, if you look at our senior picture, we diverser than a mug. Okay? White, black, Hispanic, you name it. We were up in that thing. So you had people who were hood, you had people who were not hood. You had people who were really struggling in poverty, you had people who were wealthy and well off. And when we specifically talking about black people, we were going for that bougie aesthetic, regardless of what income bracket class you were a part of, especially in the 90s. That Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, Polo run, Eddie Bauer run, that was bougie to the core. Those clothes, while we wore them a little baggier and we swagged it up with maybe like some Wallabies or some Rockports or some Tims, some Jodeci boots, whatever we had on our feet, some DKNY shoes, Hush Puppies, you name it, whatever. The bougie aesthetic was it. So when this creator first said that bougie aesthetic wasn't what we was going for, it's associating with us being hood. Who was we? First of all, who was we? Next, who was stealing? Now, were there boosters walking around? Sure. But this idea that The Black experience is universal for everybody. And the Black experience is equal to crime, criminal behavior, stealing, thievery, hood. I really want us to break free from the shackles of thinking that all Black people grew up the same and within the same environments. We got to break free from this. There have been and are currently Black people who got money, whose full on aesthetic lifestyle aligns with Oak Bluffs, Ralph Lauren, not even Polo, the elevated Ralph Lauren. So, this idea that the creator was kind of talking as if, like, we got the boosters back, and baby, who was boosting? Like, and I'm again, I didn't grow up rich. We were a middle class family, but I wasn't stealing no polos. I didn't, if I wanted something like Tommy or Polo or Nautica, I had to pay half for my stuff, but I had me a little job. And guess what? I had my half for the polo shirt. Like, I just don't, we have to stop this limited thinking. Because what I'm gathering from what he was saying, it sounds like being hood is the only way to be Black, which is reasons why growing up you have some kids telling Black kids, you talk white. You think you all that because you studying. Who you think you are trying to get good grades when you people had kids covering up their books because they were embarrassed to be carrying books home or reading. Like get that, cut that shit out. That's why I have no discourse or smoke for organizations like Jack and Jill. And when people go to Martha's Vineyard and Oakwood, I have no smoke for that because we need diversity within the Black experience. We need that. We need to be educated to know that everybody come from different backgrounds, and that's what makes us very unique as Black people. That's why Black culture is so broad and so wide and vast, because it can mean Black Southern culture, Black Cowboy culture, Southern Belle culture. It can mean Midwest culture, which is totally different. It can mean West Coast Bay Area SoCal Black culture, because that's a vastly different experiences as well. It can mean up northeast, New York Black culture, HBCU Black culture, Jack and Jill Black culture, you name it. Hood Black culture. That's what makes us very beautiful and very and just and who we are as people. So I disagree with that creator. They tearing him up, and he been talking back to people all day. He fighting for his life. He seemed to be happy doing it. So I'm sure he's getting a lot of views and clicks, which that's what people will be aiming for. But I'm tired of us thinking that all Black people are the same and associating the more the hardships of life. I'm tired of people associating the hardships of life with being Black. Don't do that. That ain't how we doing it. Also, too, again, Polo and Ralph Lauren ain't the same. And while we was buying Polo and stuff, maybe from Macy's at the time, or Dillard's or Hudson's, because y'all remember where we was getting it from Hudson's. Remember Hudson's before it became Macy's? It's Black people in this country who was getting money from the start. One thing I loved about going to an HBCU, because again, where you grow up is where you grow up. That's what you know. And I grew up with people who had money, but again, Flint was very industrial feeling. So while there were different people in the income classes, everybody still felt the same. They felt adjacent to each other. Going to Hampton, that was my first time really. And again, I was 17 when I got there. It's my first time seeing history on paper translated into real life, meaning, we read about Black people who, right after enslavement, when HBCUs were established, it being rare to send your kids, being able to afford to send your kid to college, or families who had the first Black engineer in the state, or the first Black business owner in this county, the first Black judge. Going to HBCU, you're with their offspring, their descendants. You're in class with somebody whose two-time great grandmother was the first something, something, something. You're in school sitting next to somebody whose 3-time great grandparent graduated from Hampton University in the 1920s, when back then going to college was a huge feat for Black Americans. You're seeing it in real time and you appreciate it. That's why you ain't gonna never hear me discouraging no institutions for Black people. I ain't the one. I ain't the one. Also, even though Ralph Lauren isn't a Black brand, I appreciate what they're doing. Some people saying it's a money grab. Maybe it is. But I like the style. And if they had something that wasn't sold out, or if they had some Hampton stuff, hey baby, I'm buying it. $600 sweater. I'm gonna save up. I can save up and give me a little sweater. But let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. You can find me at Canelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about my experience going to Las Vegas and seeing one of Beyonce's final shows on the Cowboy Carter tour. We also talked about the legacy of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And we also talked about the discourse online happening around Black organizations and institutions, as well as some conflict people are having about Ralph Lauren's collaboration or line specifically centered around Oak Bluffs. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Canelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is canelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.